Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode. I'm Jesse Bailly, the founder of Nova Quark and the creative director of Dual Universe. Today, we are hosting several members of the community who have been involved in a giant puzzle mystery solving quest at the size of the whole solar system. And we are going to be talking about the story here, what happened, and how they got to finally find the solution to that giant riddle. So to start with, I'd like you guys to perhaps give a short intro about who you are in the game, how much you've been playing, a bit of context about who you are, and then we're going to get into discussing this big puzzle. So maybe White Meat, you want to start?
Sure. I'm the leader of Ministry. I've been playing since Alpha 1. And I just started as a small group of guys, and we've grown to an organization, almost 200 members now.
Congrats. That's quite a large number.
Thank
So
you.
you probably already have some management issues. I mean, it's bigger than Nova Quark. I mean,
Yeah, we're running into a lot of that, and yeah, it's almost becoming a job, but not quite there yet, I think.
it's interesting. By the way, this is really interesting that you can see that at some point, this kind of game can give you an actually a real skill that means something in the real world when you start to manage hundreds of people. That's quite something.
Hmm.
Okay, well, thank you. And then a word about Kurok. If you want to say something.
So, hi, I'm Kurok. I've been playing Dual Universe since pre-alpha, so a very long time. People might know me from the many writings I've written for Dual Universe. Otherwise, I wear many hats in Dual Universe. One of them is puzzle solving, or creating puzzles as well.
Great.
Yeah.
Maybe you can say a bit more about your webpage where you have all these stories, because that's quite amazing and it's completely in line with what we try to do, which is to make the universe a place where stories are emerging, right? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So the main place where these stories can be found is spaceshipdrama.com. They're all for free there, and you can just click and download the PDF and view them. Otherwise, the Novaremo competitions, I entered in every one of them so far, and so they should be available on the forums as well.
Great.
Yes.
Great. And this we will definitely talk more about that a bit later, because this is really, as I said, it's not just a game where you do things. You have, I don't know, quests to do or things to achieve,
Yes.
but it's also a game where stories are emerging, stories that are driven by the players, stories that could actually, last for a long time. So they participate to a global history, like the world history, and that's exciting. And then you have all those novels and side stories that people start to imagine. This is beautiful. And last one is Nober. Nober, how do I pronounce it?
That's correct.
So a few words about you.
I've been playing since pre-alpha. I am the CEO of Infinity Corporation, and as of today, we are at 333 members.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
And what you said about managing this many people is definitely really good CEO training. We just appointed all of our directors in the last couple of weeks, and have a full standard corporate setup as far as the org goes.
Right. So I guess you have a lot of meetings with video calls and so on, where you're holding boards meeting and things like that.
That's correct.
Yeah. Wow, that's indeed something that looks a lot like a real company. Yeah.
Sounds like work.
Well, it depends. It all depends on the end goal. What you're trying to achieve. It's depends on the definition of work. But if you do that for fun, at the end of the day, well, there's always a part that is a little bit less fun, probably. But
Yeah.
if the end goal is something exciting, then it's fine. And the thing is that Universe is a game where you can play solo. There's no problem, but there's a lot of things that you can achieve in a game as soon as you set large number of players to cooperate and work together. And it's another aspect of the game that you should really explore. And that's what these organizations are all about, I think.
Yep, and it's a lot less expensive than executive training can be.
For sure.
Yeah, it's true.
For sure. So let's get to the to the meat, to the core of what we're here for. So we have started actually since the alpha to put elements of a big mystery in the world in the form of hidden artifacts that people can find, and on which there are some bizarre writings that are part of a mystery to solve. So we have put that in the world, and the idea was to see how far, I mean, how long it would take for people to solve this mystery that ended, in fact, but that was not, explained. But it turns out that it ended by localizing a coordinate point on a certain planet on the ground, where you could find rare mineral, actually totally rare because that was the only one in the whole game, that will be something of extremely high value. So I'm not going to reveal now what it is for, but I mean, it is something that people want to have. And that was the whole point of this giant treasure hunt at the scale of the solar system. And it turns out that you guys have solved the puzzle and found that deposit of ore, which is called thoramine. And so I'd like to know a little bit more how you got into that quest. That sort of it reminds me a lot, of Ready Player One, Gunters trying to find the hidden eggs, right? So how did you get involved with that? Can you comment on that? I mean, where did you start? Are you all on this since alpha, or is it something more recent for you?
So for HD Parm and I, once I'd stumbled upon the Shattern, I think in Alpha 1, since then we've been kind of almost obsessed with this whole artifact hunt, trying to figure out clues and trying to find out exactly, how many artifacts there were. I know the Wayfarers chat, especially Kurok, he put together a big group just kind of dissecting information that I joined and kind of was seeing what they had to say about it.
And so you were able to gather all the artifacts in a relatively short time, because some of them were buried, quite difficult to find.
Yeah, there was quite a few challenging ones, definitely, and they were as soon as beta started, they were all different places. We had to reinvestigate everything, and we did find one even out in the middle of space above Elioth, which was
Right.
quite interesting. Yeah, we didn't expect to find that.
Right, right. So yeah, because we had to replace those artifacts for the beta. Some planets had moved slightly, so we needed to reposition them within the planets. So we actually had, well, it was not that difficult because in beta you had access to radar, right? So you could actually
Yes.
try to find them using radar. So can you say a word about that? Because I think you've been running an incredible operation to locate those artifacts.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we had HD Parm on our team, who's an excellent coder and scripter and a professional programmer, and he was able to set up a script for a radar to where we would fly around surveying these planets, and it would mark objects of interest, special ID numbers or sizes, and it would stick in one corner of our radar in case we missed it. So we could just basically go AFK, talk in Discord, and just fly around the entire planet. And if it happened to pop up on our radars, we would send it over to the guy in charge, and they'd forward it over to me, and
That
we added to
yeah,
our master little puzzle team.
that's amazing, because that's to be totally honest, that was not something we had in mind at all. And you've been lucky because we sort of forgot to remove the artifacts from the radar readings. But I'm happy with it because it turns out that you guys have been able to use that and to invent something that is completely surprising. You basically developed some technology within the game, technology native type of thing, to be able to find those artifacts in a way that is completely unexpected. And
Hmm.
that's amazing. So you finally got them all right. So you got all the pieces of the puzzle, because every one of those artifacts contain some piece of the answer. So can you tell more about how you moved from collecting these informations to interpreting those information?
So once we gathered these artifacts, or close to near gathering all 36 of the relics, we realized we were probably going to need a pretty solid code breaker on our team, or a puzzle solver. And Kurok was somebody that we thought we could trust, and we brought it to him, and we kind of released our information to him, and he kind of helped us out with the puzzle as well. This was all before Nuber joined us. Um, but yeah, and then
All right.
he helped us find the rest of the artifacts, and while he's trying to break the code.
So, Kurok, can you explain us how was the what did you discover? How was this puzzle structured?
Well, so I think we should start from the beginning, which is a very
Yeah,
good place to
go
start.
ahead. Go ahead.
So I first found one of the artifacts in pre-alpha. So that was an anchor at the north pole of Alioth. So this is before the pyramid was there. And
Okay,
obviously
explain
everything.
maybe what is an anchor and so on. Because I
Okay,
know, of
so
course, but
yes,
you know.
yes. Okay, so all that we knew at that point was that this is a monolith. So it's a big rectangle made out of a dark, strange, metallic thing. It's a huge, strange alien artifact, and it has this alien writing, and it says Anchor Zero. I think that was the original one at the Alioth North Pole, and this piqued a lot of people's curiosity in pre-alpha. People built a base around it, and there
A
was
temple at some point. I
a
remember
temple.
there was a
Yes, actually,
temple.
there was a massive temple built with this thing in the center where you could land on
Yeah.
the temple and go and visit it. So that started the whole thing. So we started looking for more of the artifacts. So basically, in the alphas and pre-alphas, there was a point where all of the artifacts disappeared. They were not in the game at all. So they could not be used to find. I mean, we couldn't find them because they weren't there.
Right.
And then some of them appeared during alpha. I don't think they were all there yet. And then only in beta was it where we felt that we actually found that they were all there, or we actually had a radar that we could actually find them. So it was a
Yes.
much easier job to find them. But yes,
Yes,
so
indeed.
the very first artifact that we found is actually the pyramid. It's usually one of the first ones you find, because it's the North Pole of Alioth. So you can't help but stumble over that. It's just a little tiny triangle sticking out of the big white expanse.
Yes.
And then I actually did help dig it out on the one one of the alphas, and that took a long time.
Yeah. How
I
big is it?
believe I think
It's
it's
like you think it's a
256.
small
Right?
it's a small tip, and then you dig,
Yes.
and you realize it's
It's
I don't
huge.
know.
Never
It's
ending.
huge.
Yeah.
Very huge.
So digging this out is already a massive task. And then you happen to stumble across a little inscription, which is just a line and some dots and a zero,
Mm.
which could mean anything if you look at
Right.
it the first time.
Right.
And yes. Okay, so we'll just have to park that for now. But the other artifact that was found was actually the one in JC's castle. So that was a
Right. Indeed.
Saturn one, because it's on nice display, but it is a little bit tricky to get to it. You have to. I think the easiest way is to land on the roof, and then you can take. Then there's a side passage. There's a door on the roof
Yes.
where you can just go in and find it. So I think we want to take a step back from the monoliths themselves and
Yep.
go to the Feli sphere. So there
Oh,
is a
right.
large sphere on Feli. There's nothing that really points to it other than that there's a massive crater on Feli.
Yep.
And in the center of this crater, there is a large sphere that's hovering there above the ground, looking very enticing. And if you were to inspect this sphere, you would see some writings, some
Right.
alien writing on it, which at first glance looks like gobbledygook. Basically, it's
Right.
it's unreadable. So there is a way to decrypt this without knowing the key. Basically, you build up the key as we go along. So one of the things here, I don't know if this was done on purpose, but it just happened to be this way, that there's a repeating pattern of GHV that occurs three times. It's three
Ah,
words, GHV, three times in this text. And
right.
assuming English, the most
The.
common word is the. Yeah. So funny enough, if the key was 13 or 11 characters, you probably would not have had that recurring the having
Yes.
the same values, which would have made it much more difficult.
Mm.
But even then, you can still brute force it.
Hmm.
So, basically, this text was decrypted from the,
All
and then
right.
basically building up the key slowly by just not guessing values, but choosing values that make words.
Yes.
And as you complete one value at a time, another word appears, and another one, until you have the entire
Yeah.
key and the entire message. The Feli Sphere was a fun puzzle. This final text, I believe, was from north to south is the anchor, from east to west is the Nurgle, and the depth is the Shattern.
That's right.
So that is
Coordinates. Yeah.
so that gave us a clue of what these monoliths are for. So, but
Voila. Yes.
yes, but the first thing we thought was that these were basically cosmic signboards that basically says uh, anchor is on this planet and which forms a axis of the planets, and Nurgle on these planets, which forms a y-axis, and then the
Mhm.
depth is somehow somewhere in space. We'll figure out the depth. So this must point to a hidden planet somewhere in the deep darkest of space. So this
Mhm.
was the leading theory for a while before we figured
Hmm.
out that uh, there was actually a monolith on every single planet group. Well, I say planet group, it's because it includes the
Yes.
moons for that planet.
That's right.
And asteroids.
And as soon as basically we found the Nurgle, it was the third Nurgle, which wasn't on a nice Y plane of the planets anymore. That whole entire theory just crumbled, and everything we had to
That's
fix
nice. It's a
everything
bit
from the
like,
beginning again.
it's a bit like scientific inquiry. You have
Yes.
your theory and then observation. Cannot work. We have to find another one. That's cool.
There is another type of artifact, which there's one on each planet, which looks like a whole bunch of blocks thrown together,
Yes.
also made of this dark material. So these churches each have just three letters on them: an equal sign or a minus, depending on what how you interpret it. Then a number, so like a one, for example, and then a letter, which,
Right.
for example, would be K for the first one. So we have equals 1K for the first church, which is on Madis.
Hmm.
So I feel so these churches helped us twofold. Firstly, it actually gave us the number of the planet, and but the other part of the church is that it gives the vinegar cipher key. We never needed to look for the churches because the Feli sphere was already solved, and we already had the key.
We still looked for them. We also wanted to make sure there was nothing hidden on the artifacts either. So we made sure to find each missing church just to make sure.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So back to the pyramid. So eventually, people started looking at this pyramid and deciding that these lines and dots, it must point to the third planet from the sun.
Correct. That's right.
So because there's dots and a big zero equal to the number of planets, and the line represents the sun.
Yes. The clue here was the number 12 again,
Yes.
that you can only interpret as the number of planets.
Correct.
So then the teams scoured Thades, which is the third planet, and found the basilicas. I believe they're the
Yes.
basilicas. So these are giant. What kind
They're
of shape
like
are they?
diamonds, kind of with flat
Sort
ends on
of.
the sides.
Yes, dodecahedron. No, I don't know. A pyramid shape with a pyramid that's stuck in the bottom as well.
Yeah, two
Uh,
pyramids. Yeah,
two
it's
pyramids stuck together, basically,
yes.
all hovering. Anyway, so so in total in Thades there are three of these, and each one has an encrypted message on it. So I believe if we had found these first, we would not have known how to read them. But we had the key at that point. So we literally just applied the key to each of the three basilicas, and they gave a message, and a very very interesting message it was.
Hmm.
The 10th planet from the sun contains thoramine.
Very important.
Right. And
Yeah.
that
So
is the planet Lycobus.
yes,
Yes.
so but this was a time before the thoramine appeared on the scanners. So the word thoramine was a secret. No one but the ones who were in the know knew of the word thoramine.
Yes.
We didn't know what to make of it. We were Googling thoramine.
A little bit of context for you guys. We never expected you to find so quickly. And so, to be honest, we didn't actually put the thoramine because we thought we had time and we had some more urgent things to do. And that's why it showed up at some point because we thought, oh, whoa, 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 we have to we have to get that done because they're gonna find. So, and actually, it's interesting because it created a bit of a mystery for everybody else. Like, what is this? And
Yeah,
it's a good thing, in fact.
we thought we had quite a bit of time to sort all this puzzle stuff out, and we weren't really rushed. And then we saw, thoramine, the next day it pop up on the scanners, and we right away anticipated everybody starting to hop in on the puzzle search, and
And they
it
did.
kind of rushed us for sure. All we know is that there's something on Lacabus, and that we have a bunch of ones and zeros that sound a lot like binary.
Yeah.
And so we rushed all our forces to Lacabus just in case. We thought that this actually was the beginning of how the blockade on Lacabus happened.
Yeah, that's amazing. So
Right.
you think we want to be first there? Maybe someone's gonna figure out. We have no idea. Maybe
Hmm.
there's somebody else on that trail, and you decide to secure the whole planet for your operations of digging, basically trying to find where it is.
Right. Literally, I think the next day we heard from Nuber's group saying that they had found 19 artifacts in one day, and they were hot on the trail. So we started to panic a little bit. We
We actually found
discussed,
24 that first day, total, about the
Yeah.
second
yeah,
day.
yeah. So we were a little panicked, obviously, and I started to speak to some alliance members, Firestorm from DSI, about possibly bringing in reinforcements since this is going to blow up pretty soon. And
Fantastic. This is
yeah,
so
it
much like
just
Ready Player One,
yeah, it
Uh,
just got crazy real fast. We ended up having to deploy, I think, 7 of their guys over, and they were just on steady, just blockade missioning, just sitting there, nobody in or out of the planet, especially Infinity Corporation or any other perceived threat. So
Little
we
did they know
almost
is I warped there and bypassed their blockade.
now warping. You can warp from safe zone to safe zone, and you can avoid this whole thing. But a
yeah.
lot of players didn't know that, and we wanted to. They didn't know that we were waiting for them either. So we wanted to just. The whole idea was to slow them down in time for us to solve this puzzle.
But that was not all, because then you got those numbers properly, aligned, and so you end up having a number which is a binary. So you rightfully convert it into an integer. But then what does it mean? Is that the coordinate? Of course, it's not, because it's not something that you can immediately, map to coordinates. It's just a big integer number. And then comes the last stage, which is to interpret how can we map that to coordinates, right? And so you got lost in that a bit. And I think actually I added a clue in the castle on the big screen that helped you a lot, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
So
very much
absolutely,
so.
yes.
I
very
would say
much so.
more than a little bit lost. I think
We,
we
we
dug
Yeah.
70 something holes before seeing that.
yeah, 40
So
kilometers
Yeah,
deep.
we were starting to be worried that you would completely, completely ruin that planet. So yeah,
underestimate how big these planets are.
yeah, it's
Without
really
the
big.
exact coordinates, I do not think that we would have found that deposit.
No,
No,
Never,
no,
yeah.
no,
no,
not
and
at
it
all.
was really deep. It was more than 5 kilometers on the ground.
So no, that
So
that is not really deep for what we were looking at.
We were digging
So
40
our
kilometers
normal
plus.
Yeah.
our
mm,
depths were starting at 6 kilometers, and we went
Hmm.
yeah,
down to
okay.
53 kilometers down. That's by the
All right. So next time we're gonna be more unforgiving on the because the point of those enigma, of
yes,
course, is that you should not be able to find it by random chance. Otherwise, it's the brute force part.
yeah,
And so you did that for the key, by the way. But okay, fair enough. I mean, it's a form of game. You found the weakness. It's all right. But just randomly poking and having a chance to find it, that's not, you should never pursue this kind of strategy, because if the puzzle is well designed, it's going to fail
yeah.
with overwhelming probability. So you better think, no matter theory you come up with, but direct a little bit your search.
Anytime we were able to put together coordinates that looked even remotely close, we would send somebody to go dig a hole and test.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Fair enough. That's the way to go. Yes. And so, what was that message that was on the big screen in the castle? You remember?
Quantization of the continuum is the key.
That's right. It's correct. It's quantization of the
Here we go.
continuum is the
Yes,
key.
yes. Quantization.
So
Quantization. Okay, I fail at reading now.
quantization, yes,
Quantization of the continuum is the key. So that
which is
so
very
after
true in general,
yes,
by the way.
yes. So after trying a whole bunch of things,
I even contacted my physics professor for this.
Really.
I did.
uh, but yes, so we after trying a whole bunch of things, so XORs, um, I tried every binary in cipher that I could think of. Obviously, I did not try quantization. But then finally, when this clue arrived, I had no idea.
Uh-huh.
So I had to go and Google this. I don't know of quantization, so I found a paper which basically just describes it quickly, and then I went, "Oh, is that it?" And
Uh-huh.
then from that, I built up the mapping, um, and we went to dig, and we found nothing.
So backtrack just a little bit. We went through what, probably 12 to 15 different pages of those types of equations.
Yes, we've tried multiple.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm
We
really
had
sorry.
about 50 standing dig sites that still needed to be dug.
Okay.
But
Yes, but the quantization. So effectively, to put it in layman's terms, the way I did it was this binary value um, is basically an address along a coordinate line, for example. So the anchor
Mhm.
is somewhere along between 90 and minus 90, because that is the
That's
latitude.
right.
So so this number, so it's basically the minus 90 maps to 0, and the plus 90 maps to 2 to the power of 11 ish.
That is, yes, 2048.
So
Yes.
so lots a big number, 2040, yeah. And and then this binary value converted to decimal gives you a value somewhere along that line. So
Exactly.
that gives you the latitude, and you do the same with the longitude and the same with the depth. But the
Mhm.
depth was a little bit tricky because
Mm.
we had to we kind of had to go from 0. We didn't know if it was 0 to the depth of the to the core, or the actual height
Yeah.
the
Okay,
where
two
those
options
coordinates
here.
are. Yeah, so
Two options.
because the height of the actual surface at that point is something like, oh, it ranges on Lacobus, so it's
Yeah.
anything from 2 kilometers to 800 meters.
Yes, but as soon as you had the
But yes,
longitude and latitude, then it
yes,
was just about digging,
Just dig straight down. Yeah.
and you
yes,
will meet actually the solution at
and
I
5 kilometers.
think it
yes.
was the second attempt at that theory is where we actually struck gold and found it. I think.
So the thing is that we tried the first time without shifting any of the bits. So
Okay.
so we just removed
Just
the spaces, just
ignoring the
ignore the
pipe.
spaces, take it straight up, and
Mm,
we found those coordinates and dug and found nothing.
of course.
So it was back to the drawing board, right? So it's like,
The importance of a puzzle like that is that if you're almost right, you're completely wrong. Otherwise,
yes,
it gets too
I
easy
think
to find it.
I think that was the most frustrating thing because we didn't know if one of these was correct, like if the longitude was correct or the latitude was correct or the depth was correct.
Mm,
We have to get all three correct at the same
that's
time
right.
to know that it's
Hmm.
correct. And that was the biggest annoyance
Mm.
I had with the puzzle because because we had to keep on digging and digging and digging until we hit gold, basically.
Yeah. The reason for the pipe, by the way, is that without the pipe, you would have figured out pretty well that the first digit, the last digits are not so important because it's about getting zeroing on the exact position, but you don't really need that because you could use the scanner to find it anyway. So that would actually reduce the interest of finding everything if you had this information. So with the pipe, we just shifted somehow where it starts to be important to have the full information, or where it's not so important because it's
Yeah.
about precision, right? So that was a reason for that. And then you found it, and then you found. How did you feel?
I think
Oh, it
X-Bomb
was.
found it, and he was just like the word that he used was what's it? Kesharanath.
Oh, Kay yeah, the cipher
Kesharanath.
key.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the
uh,
eureka moment.
Yes. Yeah, that must be super cool when you suddenly you open that you break that little piece of glass and sorry, of ice, and just in front of you, oof, there's something. Oh, you must have
So
seen it on
it
the
was on
scanner
the
before,
scanner.
right?
So
Yes, yes.
our coordinates weren't like 100% correct because the
Mm.
quantization is there's a slight offset
Mm.
that you have
No,
to
no, but the
take into
scanner was
account.
meant to solve that
Yeah,
issue. So
yes,
that
but I knew that we'd get within 400 meters of the thing, so the scanner would pick it up.
yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, I was
So I
actually
wasn't
out of
that worried
town, I
about it.
think, when you guys found that, and I came home to 50 or 60 messages and screenshots, and I'm like, of course, I'm gonna be gone when you guys find it.
I think I got woke up at 4 in the morning and rushed to my computer to figure out what was going on, and yeah,
Yeah, and the funny thing is that even though we saw it coming, I mean, you were too fast, and actually we didn't actually push the client update to support the rendering of this particular material. So you had this uh, bizarre,
The
color instead of a
right.
proper texture, and you were not able to mine it yet. But anyway, it was secured, and you've put a tile immediately. I mean, the territory to claim the area, so that was safe, and well done. Yeah, that's a good one. So that's a
yeah,
beautiful story, and definitely we're gonna do more of this. We're working now with a team of 6 people who are working in general, on events and content of that kind. Working on the lore, it's still not, it's still the beginning. We still have to build a lot of this, but we want to make this universe to have a story to tell at a very large scale, and to make also some of the progress in the game dependent on solving those puzzles. So I'm not going to give too much details right now, and in particular, I will not tell you what the thoramin is for, even though I know you guys have some
what's
theories
the
also on
Thoramin
that
for?
before this. And but it's valuable. Just keep it. Don't just throw it away. I would suggest you can trade it also. Maybe this is going to get a lot of speculation. Maybe there's a way to make a lot of money. Up to you. But anyway, we're going to do more of the same. More complicated, because we got it. You're very, very bright, so we're gonna find something really, really hard. And um, so this is just the beginning, and I find it's really interesting. Perhaps for not every player, it's one aspect of the game, of course. But even if you're not after the quest itself, the interesting thing you can see is that you are impacted by it, as the Lacubus blockade is illustrating it, right? So everybody should care basically about these hunts going on, and keep an eye on what's going on. We're gonna try to make the communication about what's going on relative to this kind of quests more transparent. Think of the leaderboard, the leaderboard that you could have, where again, we can think about Ready Player One, about putting the teams that are getting close to the eggs visually in competition through those boards, and we're gonna think about doing things like that, and it's gonna be cool. And I can't wait to see you guys competing again for who's gonna be the first to solve the next big puzzle.
So for me, it's not really about. Well, the puzzle solving was great, but I also really enjoyed the story that is created
Yeah.
by
Yes.
everyone working
Mhm.
together and how everyone acted. And so
Absolutely.
I'm actually doing a write up of the story.
Hmm.
I hope, yes, I hope it will be a memorable one, and I hope there will
Mhm.
be many more in the future.
They will, for sure. Okay, guys. So, well, thank you very much for taking the time to give us your feedback about this. It was really cool. I
Thank you,
personally
Jesse.
enjoyed it. I think it's a beautiful story, and we're gonna continue to do this. I hope you're gonna get a lot of competition, and that it's gonna be epic. We're gonna cover that and continue to do these kind of things in the future.
Well,
Thank you, everyone.
thank you very much.
See you
Yep.
soon.
Thanks for having
Bye
us.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.